The Fortune of the Hills. Listen to a story about a man named Jed who was a poor mountaineer and barely kept his family fed. And then one day he was shooting at some food, and up to the ground come a bubbling crude. Oil, that is. Black gold. Texas tea. Well, the first thing you know, old Jed is a millionaire. The kinfolk said Jed move away from there and said California is the place you ought to be. So they loaded up the truck and they moved to Beverly. Hills, that is. Swimming pools. Movie stars. The Beverly Hillbillies. Granny sat on the porch and looked out toward the fields. She wondered if Ellie Mae and that Templeton boy had come back yet. Ma told her no and said she was still showing him around the farm. Shorty watched them and thought those two were meant for each other. It was a marriage made in heaven. They would hold the wedding in the little wilderness church down there. Granny called out for Ellie Mae and wondered about that young woodchopper who just met her. She asked how anyone could be sure that he was going to get married. A voice had come in the night calling loud and clear that Matthew Templeton is going to marry Ellie Mae Clampett. Jed heard it too. He showed her, and then he pounded on the wall and told her to shut up. Granny was wishing to make it so. She wanted to have those two on their honeymoon before long. Shorty asked what would happen if she took him inside the mill. There was that cake that Ellie baked. They were using it for a millstone. Beck Bozeman was grinding corn with it. Jed and Shorty tried to buy it back, but he would not sell it. The fellow that runs that mill bought the cake at the cake baking contest. Matthew said he would like to see it. Shorty said to come on and let us go in. Then he thought that cake had been eaten by now and reckoned he was right. Granny said that fellow makes the finest brooms in D.C. or Yale. She heard that the best wedding present for a new bride is a new broom. Granny said that too. Shorty asked if she was back yet, but Granny said not yet. That young woodchopper was in for a treat. She had a brace of possums in the oven and hog jowls and turnip greens. She had grits and squirrel gravy and corn pone and chitlins and hush puppies and her special huckleberry pie. Here she comes. It was Ellie Mae. Granny asked if she had a nice walk. Ellie Mae said yes. Granny bet she worked up a good appetite. Ellie Mae said she could eat a bear. She asked if she would settle for some baked possum, and Ellie Mae said yes. Granny told Ellie to hurry to the kitchen and get busy. She told her to fix some hog jowls and some turnip greens and some grits and squirrel gravy and some corn pone and chitlins and some hush puppies right away. She told her not to forget her special huckleberry pie. Ellie Mae said that was going to be an awful lot of work. Matthew said not for her, and that was the best huckleberry pie he had ever tasted. He said thank you for Ellie, but she did not like to take credit for nothing. Granny told Ellie to clear the dishes and leave the kitchen spick and span as always. Ellie Mae said yes. Matthew thought she was such a housekeeper and a cook. Granny said that was just a snack. She said Ellie would have fixed more except for all those babies she has to look after. Matthew asked if they were hers. Granny said no and explained that Ellie is so good with young ones that all the mamas in town who want to go and see the fair leave all their babies with Ellie. She said Ellie can take care of a dozen babies and make clothes for them at the same time. She loves it, especially the beautiful material that she weaves herself. Matthew thought she was a remarkable girl who cooks and sews and keeps house and takes care of babies. He thought the fellow that gets her is going to be a mighty lucky man. Speaking of that, Matthew Templeton told them to call him Matthew. Granny asked if he would be interested in marrying Ellie Mae. He said indeed he would. He knew Miss Hathaway told him that Ellie came back here to look for a husband. And she found him. He said he would be proud and honored to be the man who marries her. There was a strong distance all the way from California, and Mr. Drysdale was on the call. He said Judge Money married, and she needs a dowry. Ellie can marry. He said he sent Miss Hathaway back to prevent, or rather to take care of that. She was the one that found the fellow that Ellie is going to marry. That secretary was a real go-getter. In fact, Miss Jane did so good for Ellie, and she was out in the woods now trying to find a man for herself. Mr. Drysdale said he would be on the next plane. They would love to have him come for the wedding of Ellie, and he could bring Judge $85 million with him. He asked who was going to take care of the critters. He told him not to worry because he would see that the critters are taken care of. He said goodbye and then asked for the number of the zoo. He had fed those rotten, spoiled animals for the last time. He spoke to a fair child and said he was not talking about them because they were a sweet, wonderful dear. He said he loved them too and asked if they would like some dinner. That was a beautiful little church and a dandy place for the wedding. Matthew thought it was perfect and very inspiring. Granny was very busy with details of the wedding. She asked Jethro if he had heard that her daughter was getting married. Alverna said this was not Jethro, but Matthew Templeton. She thought Jethro had changed. Matthew met Alverna Bradshaw, and they said hello. Granny said he was the man that was going to marry Ellie Mae. Alverna asked if that was true, and Matthew said yes. They had just come from the church where the ceremony was going to be. Matthew wanted it the sooner the better. Granny asked Alverna what was the matter, because she looked a mite green. Alverna said she would be all right. She said she did not believe she had met the future son-in-law, and asked what he looked like. She spoke of Robert Holloway, who very much resembled Mr. Templeton except he was taller and broader through the shoulders. He and Victoria Rose made such a handsome couple. Then Miss Jane came in and said look what she found in the forest. She said he was no Adonis, but finders keepers. Alverna told her to let go of him. She asked Robert Holloway what happened to his glasses. He said this lady was pulling him through the woods, and he ran into a tree. Alverna called him a snook. Robert asked if that was Victoria Rose, his sweetheart. Alverna said no, it was his future mother-in-law. Robert said Mother Bradshaw, and that of course it was her, but he did not see her. She told him to get into the bucket. Robert said it was a humiliating experience, and he would be the laughingstock of the entire community. Mother Bradshaw told him to be quiet and then told him to shut up. He said thank you, and then she said to you too. Granny thought Mrs. Bradshaw was in an absolute rage. She thought maybe this was the happiest day of her life. Jed told them to fetch the bride over to the groom and put her hand in his. And then the preacher says who is going to give this woman to be wed to this man, and Jed says I do. Shorty wished he was really the groom instead of just standing in for him. Granny told him to get back on the box because they were going to rehearse the wedding again. Jethro asked if this was all a best man does just to stand here like a dummy. Granny said he did it real good. Jethro said he had to get over to Bug Tussle and meet a girl. Granny asked who she was but said that can all wait. He was going to run through the wedding again. Jethro told Granny he told Harold Lindsley he was going fishing with him this morning. Granny asked what was more important, hooking a fish or a husband for Ellie. She said he already got him hooked. Here he comes now heading this way. She told Ellie to run upstairs and change because it was bad luck for the groom to see the bride in her wedding dress before the ceremony. She told her to put on something pretty and dab a little vanilla extract behind her ear because there was nothing that tantalizes a man like a whiff of that. Matthew said howdy to everybody. Granny asked if he had been chopping wood. Matthew said yes, and that he split 50 rails this morning and hoped to do as many more before nightfall. Granny told him not to work too hard, but Matthew said hard work never hurt anyone. He said the good book says if any would not work neither should he eat. Jed said he spoke well, and asked what there was that is illustrious that is not also attended by labor. Miss Jane said that was Cicero. Jed asked if he was not something, and Miss Jane said he was indeed. She asked Mr. Templeton if there were any more at home like him. Matthew said he had a big family at home. Jed said it would be a pleasure to meet his family. Matthew said the pleasure would be his, but it would take a while because they live a few miles beyond Possum Ridge. Jed said they could go over to his place if it would be handier. Matthew said his family will love coming here because they do not get to town very often. Jed said they can probably make it by mid-afternoon. That ought to be about 4 base and a couple of perch from now. Jed said he would be putting on his fishing dirt, and Jethro said me too. They asked Miss Jane if she wanted to wet a line with them. She said no and planned to don her bird-watching outfit and do her fishing in the forest where she first saw Matthew. Jed wished her good luck and then said with fate-like that she could go a week without a nibble. Ellie Mae came in, and Matthew said she looked beautiful. Matthew was fetching over his whole family to meet them. Jed was going to try to catch enough fish so they could all stay for dinner. Matthew said they love fish and nobody cooks them like Ellie. Ellie asked if she really did. Granny called her a modest little young one and asked if she cooks them rolled in cornmeal. Ellie said no, she just wears an apron. Jed said nobody jokes like her neither, and if you like cooking and joking, she is your girl. Ellie asked if Matthew would like some of that cold lemonade that is in the icebox. He said that sounds good, and she wanna fetch it. Jed said that girl is so sweet that when she squeezes lemons you do not need sugar. He said she is going to make a pretty bride. Mother Bradshaw said what a handsome groom. She said she was talking about the man Ellie Mae Clampett is going to marry. She said he was tall and husky and handsome, but other than that he does not look like much. She told Robert to go wait in the buggy. She said hello to Granny and called her a loser. She said they have met Matthew Templeton, the man that is going to marry Ellie Mae. Matthew said how do you do, and that it was a pleasure to see her again. She said thank you, and guess they both know him. Granny said he was the future son-in-law and told Mr. Holloway to shake hands with Mr. Templeton. Matthew said it was nice to see him, and Robert said it was nice to see him too. Granny said there was quite a difference between them too. Alverna said Robert is small but wiry. She told Robert to wait in the buggy. He said thank you, Mother Bradshaw. She said now she knows where Victoria Rose gets her strength. Matthew said it was nice to see them and that he would be back this afternoon. Granny said he was fetching over his family to meet them. They were going to discuss the wedding that takes place the night before the daughter of Alverna. Alverna spoke about their bet and said she was one of the oldest friends. Granny said that was true, and there were friends she had longer, but Alverna was the oldest. Alverna asked if their silly little bet was all in fun. Granny said she did not know about her, but she was going to have lots of fun kicking her up that mountain. Jed said howdy to Alverna and asked if she would like to come over and join them for a fish supper. Granny said no, she would not because she was going to be eating crow. Jed asked if that was the future son-in-law from the buggy yonder. Alverna said yes, that was him. Jed asked if he would like to go fishing. Granny said no, he does not fish, and told Jed to take him along anyway because he can use him for bait. Jed told Granny that before he leaves he wants to hear her say something nice and pleasant to Alverna. Granny said all right and told Alverna may good luck follow her all the days of her life and never catch up with her. Shorty asked if anybody was here. He said he was here. He asked about the Clampetts who were supposed to be at this hotel. He said Jed was fishing and Jethro was girl watching and Granny took Ellie Mae over to have her wedding dress fitted. Mr. Drysdale asked if she was really getting married. Shorty said in these parts a girl does not buy a wedding dress to trap muskrat. Mr. Drysdale said never mind the country humor and that he was Milburn Drysdale. Shorty said he was that banker fellow from Beverly Hills. Mr. Drysdale said that was right and he would like to talk a heap about the Clampetts. Shorty hoped he fetched along those $85 million. Granny was anxious to get that in the Bank of Bug Tussle for the dowry of Ellie. Mr. Drysdale asked where the Bank of Bug Tussle was. Shorty said he struck through it on the way here. Mr. Drysdale said that was impossible because in 20 miles he passed one building. Shorty said that was Bug Tussle. It was the general store and the bank and the post office and city hall and fire department and funeral parlor and jail and boat landing. Mr. Drysdale asked if Granny was going to put $85 million in a bank like that. Shorty said that was the only bank in the county. Mr. Drysdale told him to get that horse and buggy back here right away because he was going to buy it. Shorty said Earl Stevens would not sell that horse. Mr. Drysdale said he was going to buy the bank. Shorty said that was likely to cost him a pretty penny unless the owner sees a tooted-up city fellow like him, and then the price goes sky high. Mr. Drysdale asked if he had any old clothes he could borrow. Shorty had some work clothes hanging in the attic. Shorty said these clothes will be fine. Miss Jane saw him and asked where he got there and what he was doing in this ridiculous outfit. He asked if she thought he looked ridiculous. She told him to step in front of a mirror if he wanted a real laugh. She said she had been bird watching. Mr. Drysdale said she was supposed to be Clampett watching. He sent her back here to keep them from settling down and taking their money out of his bank. Miss Jane said they were happy here and he could not put money ahead of happiness. Mr. Drysdale told her not to bet on it. He said she was supposed to keep Ellie from getting married. Miss Jane said she fell in love, and you cannot put money ahead of love. Mr. Drysdale told her not to bet on it. Shorty told him he got him a jackass. Mr. Drysdale said he meant a mule. He called it a lousy hen, and then said he got him a little donkey. Mr. Drysdale asked if it would get him to Bug Tussle and back. Shorty said yes, and that Leroy Cheney had it saddled up and ready for him out front. Miss Jane asked why he was going to Bug Tussle. He said he was going to buy the bank. He said if the Clampetts move their money out of Beverly Hills, he will be waiting for it in Bug Tussle. Miss Jane looked at the donkey, and Mr. Drysdale asked if he was a friend of hers. She said he was no friend of hers and called him a drifter and a tramp and a derelict and a worthless money-hungry bum. She said good riddance and wondered where he came from. She would say from under a large wet rock.